Today's sponsor is Audible.com, a leading provider of spoken audio information and entertainment. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. With Role-Playing Public Radio, this is RPPR episode 65, Fear in the Long Haul. And with me, as always, is Tom.
You know that you actually sound like this when you talk.
Yeah, I know.
That could be considered a disease.
Well, not anymore, because now I'm going to talk normal.
That was a quick recovery time.
I know, because that's what we do. In this episode, we're going to be talking about doing horror campaigns. I know we haven't done many of them recently here at RPPR, but we picked up some, words of wisdom or whatnot. There's some differences between doing a horror campaign and doing a horror one-shot, and so we thought we'd go into that, given the season and all that. So,
Tis the season to carve scary pumpkins and toilet paper houses.
Yeah. First off, though, we have some news for the podcast. We are still being sponsored by Audible, Audible Podcast, whatever you want to call it. They are giving away a free 2-week trial for their audiobook. So if you like that, you need to get on over to audiblepodcast.com/roleplaying and get a free audiobook and a 14-day trial with that. And they have over 85,000 titles, and wouldn't be surprised if they have more of Patton Oswalt's work.
Oh man, I would say that if you're gonna read a book written by a comedian, the best way to do it's the audiobook as read by the comedian. It's so much better.
Right. They also have work such as Lovecraft's work. It's been converted. 85,000 titles. I mean, there's a lot there you can get there. So if you, if RPPR is enough to satiate your needs for listening to things, then you can head on over there. I know Tom's a big fan of it.
Yep, I used it several times. Never had a problem.
Right. So, but in big RPPR news, well, first off, we also have Zombies of the World. It's still on sale for the rest of this month. We are going to... I have realized I haven't offered this before because I'm just...
Monster? Yeah,
monster. But I will autograph copies of Zombies of the World if you request that. So if you want to buy it... go to zombiesoftheworld.com/the-book, and I will get you a copy. Just mention in the comments when you pay for it on PayPal, and I will autograph. I'll get the RPPR group to autograph.
Yeah, we've had several orders of that. People wanting the autographs of everyone in our group.
Yeah. So we've shipped them on off, and
that's a collector's
we'll do that even after the sale. Just
that's a collector's item, my friend.
I know, right? So
just think, a couple years from now. You're gonna be glad you have that.
Exactly. I'll be huge, bigger than Lady Gaga or something. Well, maybe not that big, but something.
Maybe Gaga 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. We are also. I've also been doing a lot of blog posts on the website. I'll be talking more about that in the shoutouts, but I put up some essays, put up some articles. So if you're in a zombie mood, that's the zombiesoftheworld.com is the place to go.
Just in case you're wondering, Ross.
The PDF's $2.99.
Just in case you're wondering, Ross is always in an undead kind of mood.
Exactly. PDF's $2.99. How can you say no to that? How can you say no to that? You cannot.
So easy, even a zombie could do it.
Exactly. I mean, there are many intelligent species of zombies. Well, not many, but some.
So am I starting something like the caveman, where a zombie's like, not cool?
Exactly.
All right, I'm sorry.
But finally, the big news is that we're going to be having another RPPR ransom project. Now, the New World campaign is over, so... what we're going to be doing is a brand new game. I thought of the idea at Gen Con this year when I ran I think 10 or 11 person game. It was competitive. It was a battle royale. Everyone was trying to kill each other. Like, no one's ever done a real competitive RPG before. Everyone trying to kill one another. Like, that would be fun. Like a rules-like kind of beer and pretzel game. So I've come up with a title for it called Killsplosion. And we're going to set up a ransom. There's a link in the show notes that you can click on. And, of course, we're going to have preview actual play episodes. So if you're an AP fiend, like so many of you out there, you'll be able to download 10 new episodes and listen to them before anyone else. I mean, all the episodes are released for free eventually, but you'll get them months in advance. And that includes a 6-part Slender Man campaign set in the world of darkness with Changeling. The campaign fell apart after the 6th session, but there's 6 sessions there that I think went really well. So, and it's a horror campaign. Yeah. So,
or among others, you'll get to listen to a real piece of crap I did.
Yeah.
So, if you want to hear me run a game where I basically did 20 minutes of planning, You will be entertained from here till eternity. I promise you.
Yeah, we'll also have a Delta Green game, Victim of the Arts, Caleb's Berlin game, and let's see, so that's 6, 8. I'm still picking the last couple games, but there'll be 10 altogether. But that's not the only rewards we're going to be doing for this. There are going to be multiple levels of rewards. In fact, since this is going to be a brand new game, I'm not writing for an existing system like Dungeons and Dragons. I'm going to be creating my own system. This needs some play testing. So anyone who contributes $10 or more, or there's many reward levels where you can get access to the playtest rules. And when you get access to playtest rules, you'll have a month to play around with them and send feedback to me so I can incorporate them for the final PDF. So you'll be able to get your hands on...
and your name's in it.
Yeah, and your name will be in as listed with the playtesters, of course. Or whatever name you want. If you want to go by nickname or whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, well, most nicknames. I'm sure there are some we're probably going to...
Yeah, we have veto of them, no one named Steve,
Ross is very sensitive about that. Steve killed his dog.
None of it's a real name. If it's a real name, it's fine. But if you have the nickname Steve, I'm not cool with that.
He doesn't like that at
I
all.
know.
You can't see it, but one of his eyes is twitching.
Exactly. But there is also some. If you're a big dollar spender, if you want to make it rain, we're gonna have some high level contributions for $100. You can tell me what you want me to post. You can run RPPR AP for a week. In that sense, you can tell me what AP you want on the site. You can write the show notes if you want. You can listen to it ahead of time if you want to. Within reason, and so you can say, "Yeah, I want a Eclipse phase next. Give me Eclipse phase."
Think of the power you would have at your fingertips at that point.
Exactly. Well, no, the ultimate thing though is for $200, you can control the RPPR group for a week, and you can tell us what to play and then post. I will and it can be a game system we haven't played before. Something we're not familiar with. Now I will have a final veto vote, so no fatal. I'll say that right off the bat. Not just because of the content of its just how horrible it is, but because of how horrible the rules are. But if you want us to suffer through Phoenix Command, I mean, we'll try that.
Or Sailor Moon,
yeah, or Maid the RPG, or Teenagers from Outer Space, or.
Ross wouldn't have to buy in a book for that one. I actually have it.
Right, exactly. Or if you want us to do World of Darkness, if you want to do us, tell us what game you want us to play through, and we'll do it. So
we're shameless.
We are. So I'll buy a new rule book if I have to. I mean, for $200, yeah, sure.
Right. Ross doesn't give a fuck.
I do. For the listeners, because seriously, you guys are awesome. I mean, you're.
Oh, you guys, man.
Yeah. Oh my God, you guys are cool. I mean, we have listeners. We're very international too. I was just contacted by a listener from Norway. That was awesome. So.
Ross loves Norway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's how many times do you talk to people from Norway?
I would not if it had not been for this podcast.
Exactly. I know the people in Norway. I talk to people in Norway all the time. They're jerks, but
Ooh.
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh, Ross.
They're so blasé about dealing with people from Norway because they're already there. So
yes, Ross.
It was a joke. All right, we're doing a new thing with this podcast or with this ransom, and at the base level, it's going to be set. The goal will be set on Kickstarter for $1,250, and that will really. And with that, I will create the base Killsplosion RPG, which will be illustrated by Ian Moody and Violet Kirk. If you go to the Kickstarter page, you can see art for it.
It's good stuff.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
People being defenestrated and shot and stabbed, and guys punching alligators, and all kinds of great stuff. So
cars blowing up.
But that's at $1,250 now. 15, and what we'll do is if we go above certain goal, past that minimum goal, we'll do additional things for you guys. $1,500, I'll do creators commentary. You can actually embed audio files and PDFs, so there will be a little designer commentary for all this. I'll talk about the playtesting, some inside notes and stuff like that. So that'll be fun. And then for $2,000, if we get to $2,000, I'll create an expansion for it. Called Zombies vs. Humans, which will be a zombie apocalypse version of Killsplosion, where you can play as a human survivor or as an intelligent zombie. And then, again, fight to the death. The zombies, of course, will have zombie abilities, and the humans will have the ability to scavenge and improvise new weapons, kind of like in Dead Rising 2 or in Dead Island. So all kinds of creative mayhem. But then at $2,500, and this is the one that I think I'm really looking forward to, and I really hope you guys can come through because I think it'll be really fun, is we will get a video camera, a small video camera, HD, because the one I have right now is SD. It's kind of old and, kind of bulky. And so we'll get a small HD camera, and we'll start shooting RPPR video projects on a regular basis. The first one we're going to do will be us playing Artemis Spaceship Simulator in costume. Now, Artemis Spaceship Simulator is a land game where every computer is set up as a station on a starship. So like there's weapons, engineering, navigation, communication, that kind of thing. And then one person just plays the commander and just tells the other people what to do. He doesn't even have a computer. He just looks at a screen of what's going on and tries to keep everything. So we'll each have a costume. I'll use the robot costume I have from Zombies of the World, the web series. Tom, you said you had a costume, or you're going to get a costume.
I'm going to put one together, yeah.
Okay. And all the other people have figured out what they. I know Thad has a Rocketeer helmet and some steampunk stuff.
So you're going to get to see my dopey face in some outfit.
And we'll be jackasses, and there'll probably be beer involved. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll get there when we get there. And
I'll have the captain's
job. We'll take turns doing that, and then we'll also, of course, have the camera for gaming conventions, so we can record panels, we can do interviews with game designers, demo game products for you guys, like board games and card games.
Actually, it's for that interview. Is just so you know, the Kevin Symbieta will be at a con in our hometown
in Springfield
early next year.
If we have the video camera, we might be able to get Caleb drunk enough to try to interview him with the camera. Because I don't think Caleb will want to do that if he's sober. I don't think he'll agree to it if he's sober. I know Caleb was listening, like, God damn it, Ross. But
if you want, and again, that might make it even more interesting.
I know, exactly.
Just Caleb, like, maybe you can tell me the answer to this question I have. I've been thinking about it for a while.
Why does climbing have two percentages? One for going up and one for going down.
And why is it easier to go up than down?
Yeah, exactly. That just because rappelling was hard for you once doesn't mean it should work for anyways. So that's and then for $5,000, I don't know if we'll get this, but I put it up there. I will do a Killsplosion live action short film. I know actors and special effects people in Springfield. People who can do squibs, people who can do pyrotechnic explosions. And if I have $5,000 to throw around, if I use a few $1,000s, I can get real actors, not just the RPPR group, to shoot each other, have squibs, have explosions, have a lot of fun blowing shit up.
Then again, we might actually throw in them just to be the people that get shot.
Yeah, and we'll get DVDs out to the people who contribute in that point. And we'll do a lot of stuff for you guys. And then at $10,000, we'll do a 90-minute web series. It'll be 90 minutes worth of content broken up into little
10 minutes.
Short, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. And then as a Killsplosion, series, TV show or something like that, web series, with lots more explosions. And I'll hopefully be able to get a car to explode. So that will be fun and entertaining, and probably not safe at all, but
it's safe. What the hell? Who cares?
If you give us that much money, we'll do it. So I mean,
it will be enjoyable.
I give no fucks about that. I don't care.
On this night, not a single fuck was given.
Yeah, we'll get guns. We'll shoot them, and it'll be. So the $2,500 is what the real goal I really want to do. But I just kind of gauge how interested you guys are in Killsplosion. And we'll do a lot of stuff for it. So I appreciate any feedback on this idea. We'll have the ransom's already up. Go ahead and take a look and contribute if you're an AP fiend. Go ahead and contribute and get for $20 and get your 10 episodes. Get your fix. I know you guys are always wanting more.
And like dealers, we keep supplying.
I know, but we're never too much. We don't want you to OD on actual plays.
I've heard that's actually a condition.
I know. You don't sleep at all, and then you see Slender Man pop up, and then
you're dead.
Yeah, and then you're dead,
or worse.
Yeah. So I think we've done enough about news. Why don't we talk about role play and what's that stuff? What's all that about? So
yeah, it's like pretend with rules.
I know, God.
That's like something kids would do.
Yep. We've been talking about adventure design. We've been talking about campaign design. So since it's October, we're always trying to do something horror related for October. Let's talk about horror campaigns. Now, at RPPR, we've only done a few campaigns. The grand total now has been 3 really, there's been the New World campaign that you've heard of, and now we're doing the Wild Talents New Arcadia, and we've been doing Eclipse Phase. Eclipse Phase is horror, but Caleb's just, we've just started posting those, and I haven't run many horror campaigns. I've run 2 that I can think of off the top of my head.
Masks of Nyarlathotep.
Masks of Nyarlathotep, the classic, which I actually ran before I got the Zoom H2.
We're sorry about that. We're not going to run it again.
Well, I would be thrilled to run it again, because knowing what I know now about it, the problem is you remember it. You would know what to do, and I know we have mostly...
Ross, are you saying that I would use metagame information to get an unfair advantage?
Yes.
Good, because otherwise you don't know
I'm
me very
playing
well.
someone with all the skills to do the things that we need to do. And I'm playing a ton.
And let's just say no one's going to start playing a scientist, or we're going to have a bunch of mercenaries and
people with really good spot hiddens, but with really good sanity and really good hand and combat skills and dodge maximum. So
preferably illiterate.
So how do you do a horror game? But I mean, we also did the Slenderman campaign.
That was a really good one.
Which went for 6 sessions, so it went long enough to be a campaign. We didn't finish it because the players everyone.
No, actually, everyone, GM, players, everybody kind of just.
Well, we did. I tried to reschedule it, and I think it just kind of RJ moved away, and then we kind of got caught up doing other things. So
it happens.
We
talked about that.
The main, so there's 3 main things we're going to be talking about. One is the rhythm, the pacing. Then the sort of the less is more, and then finally logistics. And by logistics, I mean mostly like dealing with getting players into the game, and especially because in horror campaigns, more than any other type of campaign, you have to deal with dead and useless characters that have been driven insane. So how do you replace them? How do you keep the players playing? Because their player character is dead. But first off, pacing and rhythm. Now we've talked about this a lot, and that's. A good game has good pacing where you have moments where you speed up, you're really intense, and then you back off for a while. And then, I've compared it to music and film where you have a begin, an opening, sort of building up intensity, then a climax, then a denouement. And the thing is, your pacing has to be different. For a one shot, has to have that kind of, beginning, middle, and end. But a horror campaign, you have to keep it. Think about the session before and the session after.
It's like kind of like more like a TV show than a movie.
Well, yeah, exactly. It is like a TV show, and you have to have your own mini, climaxes and exciting moments, but you have to back off a lot more too, because you can't sustain that kind of. The thing is, every time you have, in horror games especially, every type of action you have in there. Hurts the PCs, in some way or the other. Causes them resources, hit points, sanity. That's kind of the nature of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, nature of horror games is that it's survival. You're being chipped away if you're not being outright destroyed, and
you can't have that going all the time.
Right, because then you won't have player characters, and then the logistics get strained. But even if you don't just annihilate them, you get chipping away at their resources. Their hit points, their sanity, their money, their time. And the more of that you chip away, the less they'll be able to respond to your threats. So, like in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, or a game, players will have the little fight scenes. They figure out where the dungeon is. They do the overland trek. And then they rest, and then they're fully healed, and they're able to go in the dungeon.
All spells restored.
Right. And horror games, you don't have that kind of, blank slate, resetting the clock. But...
sleeping at the end doesn't work.
Right. But the problem is that you design adventures the same way. In a fantasy campaign, you have, minor fight, trap, puzzle, trap, minor fight, boss fight. Yeah. But if you keep that kind of pace in a horror game, they're going to, by the second puzzle, they're going to be dead because they've just been, they'll be so penalized. One player's insane, the other person's lost an arm, and the only person who knows the spell to get past the trap is, hearing voices in his head. Their effectiveness is crippled very quickly. I think pretty much every major horror game has what they call a death spiral, and the death spiral is you get hit, and you get hit, and you take a penalty, and that makes sense. But when you take that penalty, you're less effective. So you're less able to deal with the next threat, you know? And that's kind of a problem because then now you finally meet Nyarlathotep. Well, we're all like we die instantly, we can't, so
yeah. Or in my case, I think back at like Master Nyarlathotep, I remember that's pretty much what happened to most of our characters.
Right.
It's by the time we keep getting hit by this, that over here. By the time we actually get to the climax. Like, I remember one point, my dude had been taking so many sanity hits. By the time we actually got to the big climactic moment in the mountain, the instant I saw I think it was that giant bloated lady thing.
Are you talking about Africa or in Shanghai?
Africa.
Africa's the bloody tongue. Oh no, spoiler alert for a 20-year-old campaign. 30-year-old.
Yeah, as soon as that happened, like, I lost the last of my sanity.
Yeah.
And I was out.
Yeah.
So I did not have any reserves left to do that
but
scene.
But not everybody was, and actually, Call of Cthulhu is actually pretty forgiving if you look at the rules as written. Aside from the sanity losses, there's not much in the way of permanent penalties. In other games like the World of Darkness, you have pain penalties. If you're injured, you become less effective when you fight.
Eclipse Phase does that.
Oh yeah, Eclipse Phase does that too. Yeah. So when you have multiple injuries or traumas or whatever, they
as Aaron figured out.
Yeah, exactly. If you have very low sanity, you can't be very effective.
Especially when we really need our hacker to get past that get that information. He's too crazy to do it.
Right. So that's the thing you have to be aware of. In a horror campaign, you have to be aware of what your players are capable of, and you have to pace it accordingly. So that kind of leads into the next point: less is more. So I mean, the mistake again of designing a horror game, a horror adventure in a campaign, the same way as you would in a D&D adventure, is that as we just said, characters don't bounce back. Just horror games in general. Characters aren't as resilient. They don't recover as quickly. Not instantly like D&D characters. You have to do less with. You have to do more with less. And the best example, I know I mentioned this many times, is the fucking bird in the cage. In Caleb's game, the actual play, Lover in the Ice. And that was the thing that freaked us the fuck out the most. Yeah. I mean, because it was a fucking bird that had been in a storage shed for years, and it was alive and fine. Like that isn't right. Yeah, like, I'm not even going to shoot that bird. That bird will turn into a dark young and kill me. And I'm scared of that bird.
It kind of reminds me of stuff by Stephen King. One reason I really like him, like he's really good at combining cosmic horror with just mundane everyday life.
Right.
I think that's kind of That's I think the most effective way to do it.
Right.
It's so much more effective if it's the world you're used to suddenly not being so normal.
Right.
It's much better.
Right.
I think one of the most effective ways to do it.
And I know a lot of people are poo-pooing the Paranormal Activity movies, but that's why they're so popular. Is because they're so banal but so simple that they freak you out because it's like that could be my home. That could be my bed. I'm afraid that a demon's going to molest me at night, because when I'm sleeping.
There's another reason I think it's, I guess, the inevitable comparison to the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
The reason why I think Paranormal Activity is a lot better?
Why?
Tripod. Because, I mean...
fake scammers, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that it's like suddenly, I mean, if you can see it clearly...
Yeah.
And I think that's why, it's really subtle. I've seen the first two.
Yeah.
And the reason I think it worked for me so well, that I loved him so much, is, well, first of all, it's perfect, crystal clear. You can see exactly what's going on, and it's not like Cthulhu doesn't shamble into the bedroom at night. Right. It's more like the sheets move, or just some little shit like that's going to work be a lot more effective.
Right. And this works in games too. I've pretty much always the things that freak the players out the most, in my experience, whether I'm playing or running a game, is the little shit. The little shit that's just like hits your brain in the wrong way and just twigs something. It just makes you like your reptilian brain says that is bad. Get away from that.
In like Night Floors. Yeah. One of my favorites is the goldfish.
Okay, why don't you tell me?
It's we find that we're searching this of course when we rent
apartment building.
This apartment building, of course, we always go at night.
Yeah.
Which Ross found infinitely amusing.
Yeah.
But we come across this thing. It's it was this like gold pendant that was in the shape of a fish. Mm-hmm. And we found, I think we found that like hidden behind a wall or
It's
something.
like in a mouse hole.
We pulled it out,
Yeah.
and I think it was me. My character like pocketed it. Okay, I know I put it in a plastic bag because we were investigators.
Evidence bag.
And later, when we got out the plastic bag again, there's a live goldfish in there.
Yeah.
And for some reason, well, actually not for some reason. Of course, we knew like that was the freakiest shit that happened.
Yeah.
And or if I may mention another one, this is another hotel game. Actually, when we were doing in Tulsa, I think as you mentioned there was a hive room. It's basically we were in a hotel room and we just kept hearing this buzzing sound.
Yeah.
And we never glimpsed it.
Yeah.
But it was through a very unfortunate series of successful idea rolls that we suddenly realized that first, like Aaron felt something drip on his head, and of course, it's supposed to be blood by most standards of horror,
right.
But he touches it, and it was sticky, like it was honey.
Yeah.
And we never saw it. We saw like a couple of bees flying around. We suddenly realized behind these very thin walls, every inch of it was like a giant like beehive, honeycomb.
Yeah.
And if we made more, and every noise we made antagonized them more. And it was that to me. We had some scenes like some imminent danger, but that was the one. Just we are like trying so hard to avoid making any fucking noise. I mean, we were acting out us just trying to just okay, like we're doing like, and we are being very quiet. And Ross is a son of a bitch. I'm saying, okay, make a dex time 3 check. Fuck you.
Yeah.
But we never ever saw what was behind the walls.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have to.
Yeah.
It's shit like, I mean, if the walls had actually just been removed and suddenly we saw the honeycombs, it would have been less.
Right.
But the fact that we never saw them was even worse.
Yeah.
That's always going to be something that sticks out in my mind.
I actually remember I ran that same scenario for a group of people over Skype, and I'll post that as one of the preview APs. Because I don't think we recorded the one at the hotel, the one we played.
I don't know. I thought we did. We had a recorder.
We did?
Yeah,
okay.
I think
I'll
we
look
did.
through it. Maybe if I do, I'll find both.
Then again, it might have been on.
Maybe you get both, guys. Maybe you guys get both. Maybe you get 11 APs.
Oh man,
I know.
We'll do that.
Because I'll look that up because I thought we didn't record it.
Or it might,
so I haven't looked. So
yeah,
I
it might have been on mine.
Okay. Well, look for it. We'll get to the bottom of this mystery. But the point remains the same. Now, this isn't to say that everything has to be mundane, because again, the main thing is confounding expectations.
Mm-hmm.
When you violate their players' expectations in a really unnatural way, that's what really freaks people out, gets them scared. And people their expectations are much more concrete, much more real for things they're familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
If you say like, oh, you're on Mars, and then suddenly the Martian soil is brown, and you're like, oh, okay, well, what does that mean? And like, you're not confused. You're like, it's black soil. You're like
no, but actually, I think, if you saw like a single flower growing from the Martian soil,
because that shit, because you're at least familiar with that. But like, if you're not some sort of scientist who's intimately familiar with that color, the soil, you're not a NASA scientist. Like, oh my god, it's black. That means blah 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 blah. Something.
But like I said, imagine like a bright red rose,
yeah,
growing from the Martian soil.
Yeah, or
something
sunflower. Like a sunflower would be even worse because it's more contrasting. Like, what the fuck is a sunflower doing on Mars? That would be freaky.
Yeah.
Or in Eclipse Phase, that would be called Tuesday because Eclipse Phase.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, Eclipse Phase, how I love thee. But big moments are still have a thing because again, if you do use the mundane stuff too much, then players will begin to expect that. And in fact, one of the shout-outs I'm going to mention later on is this music video called Fantasy that has freaked like Thad and Caleb and Aaron like really the fucking out. Yeah, I know you loved it. I loved it too. I thought it was great. An RPPR listener sent it in to me, so thanks, listener.
You made RPPR a better podcast.
I know, right? It's pretty great. So
I love. Yeah, it starts out just.
Well, we don't want to spoil it all. You need to watch it. I'm not going to say anything about it, but it has a big moment in it in the end, and that's perfect. So you need to have the big moments in there, and that means that's the shit that does the 1d10, 1d100 sanity loss. But I think the thing about that is it's punctuation. Like even in classical music, you have the big moments.
Like the 1812 overture.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a continuous thing, but you know Beethoven's building up to a crescendo, and then it peaks, and then it drops off. It doesn't stay, at the 1812 overture forever. It sort of builds up, and then it stops, and then eases off, or goes silent.
The Ode to Joy does that.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. So you need to think about that kind of pacing. So and also that to be very sparing. It's not a big moment if you use it frequently. I know for example, in our not horror, but in our Wild Towns campaign, there's going to be a big moment, a big whole fucking game, session. But that's because the rest of the campaign's been kind of low key in the sense of like
street level.
Yes, well, yeah, exactly. So you have to be very sparing about those kind of things, and you have to think about what's going to be more effective than not. So I know in Mass and Nyarlathotep, I mean, those are kind of written out, but they're kind of like written into the campaign, and they're kind of like it takes a while to get to the big moments. Like in Egypt and in Kenya, there are big moments in there, but you don't just start out with that. You have to do a lot of fucking investigation.
Well, like New York, it's pretty much just cultists there.
Right, and that's the beginning of the campaign, and that's investigation, fight scene, action scene.
And of course, in London, you murder a woman with a cane.
Well, no, Tom, that was you. That's not in the campaign. That was you.
It should be.
No, well, it's you just left your own little mark in history then. So,
and I am eternally proud of that.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
Which means it would actually be ironic if I went into a tea shop now.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it would be. So, and that kind of goes in our next point. Again, logistics. And by logistics, I mean you need to plan for player death and or insanity. You need to think about, again, as we mentioned, horror games PCs are basically going down a death spiral from the beginning to the end. They're not gonna you don't. It wouldn't be really horror if the players in the game more powerful and a better position than they started. Yeah. That's not the point. I mean, like, even in Friday the 13th, when you have the last girl and she kills Jason, she's still bloodied. All her friends are dead. She's traumatized, but she's alive. But she survived. That's what she's grateful for. She lived. That's it. Mm-hmm. Her life sucks now, but she's alive. And, great horror games are based on those kind of premises. So you kind of have to think about the logistics of like, well, PCs are, you have, and again, this might contradict the idea that you have to have big moments. Well, if the players aren't able to face it, there's the other option of them becoming more desperate, using more and more desperate solutions. At first off, they'll be like, I'm law-abiding citizen. Then I'm like,
by the time it's over.
Well, no, it kind of becomes something. Well, I'm gonna get a gun. I'm gonna start carrying it around with me, and then like I'm gonna use the gun. I'm gonna break and enter first. I'm gonna steal. Then I'm gonna break it. Then I'm gonna start stalking people. Then I'm gonna threaten people. Then I'm gonna bribe people. Then I'm gonna fucking get illegal guns. And then I'm going to start shooting people and murdering people. So the player starts making more and more desperate choices.
Actually, you ever seen the remake of The Hills Have Eyes?
Yeah.
The liberal guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way he starts.
Yeah, exactly.
By the time the movie's over, he's like gleefully killing, the mutants in the desert.
Right, exactly.
And of course, by the end, he's able to kill now, but he's a shadow of who he used to be.
Right, and that's how horror games are. So you have to think about how you want to. You have to think about this well in advance. Like at what point you have to keep in mind what the players can do, what their characters are capable of doing, and what kind of choices they're going to use to compensate that. What kind of shortcuts they're going to take in order to stay in the game. And then, I mean, there will be chances. Like, for example, the character mechanically would actually be more powerful than what he started with, because he'll have gained some experience, he'll have some weapon skills, he'll have made some sanity checks, he'll be resistant to violent losing sand loss through violence or whatever. So there's that.
You ever seen someone with 1,000-yard stare though?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's you now.
So you have to think about these kind of logistics and sort of plan out, like, at this, like, if you start at a 10 or even an 8, those characters are going to destruct pretty soon. And then you have to start thinking about, well, do I want to replace them? Like, another thing is you can do a horror campaign without player death and insanity. I did a very meat grinder campaign where characters were just tossed in and chewed up by it. You don't have to do that. you can do a great horror game where it's very slow and very methodical and very like, more ominous than threatening. Now, Tatters of the King for Call of Cthulhu is like that. That's a 1920s campaign. I haven't run it yet, but I've read through it, and it's dangerous. But unless you do really stupid things, your characters could actually, someone from the beginning could last all the way to the end. And certainly, if you do games like Fear Itself or Little Fears, where you have kids doing it, I mean that would be more like Goosebumps than something like that. But if you are running a campaign where players are going to be, die on a regular basis, where there's a lot of combat, there's a lot of violence, and there's a lot of insanity, how are you going to get new players in the game, and how are you going to get those new player characters in the game, and how are you going to get them invested in it? Mass and Nyarlathotep had the suggested diaries and sort of setting up, but I kind of created my own little organization to funnel new player characters in.
It worked. Yeah. Also to help, there's always someone from the original group still there.
Yeah, there was some continuity. I don't know if anybody from the beginning of the campaign lasted all the way to the end.
No one did.
Yeah.
I never lost anyone through violence. It was always sanity.
Right.
Then again, my first guy became a major recurring NPC.
Right. So you had that, but you kind of have to think about, what players are going to lose. So that's kind of like, again, with the less is more thing, you don't need as much as you think you will. Again, it's also, remember, you have to think of it from the player's point of view. You might be like frustrated as a GM because you're like, I'm just, I have one little poltergeist that's, throwing dishes at them and have that for 3 sessions. You're like, God damn it, this is just weak. I should throw in some zombies and a werewolf. But the player's like, God damn it, what is throwing shit at us? Yeah. Oh God, what's going on? Is it going to possess us next? Like you don't know what the players are experiencing necessarily. Your perception may be different from that. So, you don't need to throw. I mean, you need to take your cues from what the players actually do or responding. If, for example, the players are, really aggressive, really violent, really like they don't give a fuck about anything, then you've been too lenient on them in some ways. They realize their actions don't have much consequences. If they can push around cops and FBI agents, that's because they aren't afraid of them. So you need to if that's fine with you, that's fine with you. I mean, that's fine.
Like Aaron in Bryson Springs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he was just role playing that,
which was fine. And so was I.
Yeah, exactly. Because you were the only federal agent there, so I was just player player stuff. So, but if the NPCs in a campaign were doing that, then I mean, that's the kind of campaign you're running. But if the players are being if you feel they're too aggressive, that means you've been too permissive with them, I guess. Now, on the other hand, if they're too cautious, that's because they've been getting smacked around so much that they can't do much, Like,
why the fuck would I open that door?
Yeah, why would I open that door? Why would I read that book? Why would I talk to that person? Why would I eat that sandwich?
Well, the sandwich you should always be wary of.
I know, exactly. Who made that sandwich? I didn't make that.
And why is it here?
And if I did make that sandwich, was I being mind controlled while I was making that sandwich? I just didn't know I was being mind controlled.
What's in that sandwich?
Exactly. How do I know? I didn't see the pig being slaughtered. I don't know if that's really ham, or if that ham's been poisoned. So,
or what's the expiration date?
Exactly. There's so many things. So, if your players are dawdling, then perhaps they don't have enough information to progress forward. For example, if you what should we do? Well, I don't know what we should do because we have you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, actually that's why I like the Call of Cthulhu system, because just have to make an idea check.
Yeah,
if you really get stalled,
right. So
and of course, it's a son of a bitch when everyone fails their spot hidden for the clue they really need to find.
Right, which is what the gumshoe system is all about. Interpreting the clues rather than rolling to see if you get them in the first place. So every type of player behavior is based on what you give them. They respond to stimulus. So if they're acting in a way you don't like, then you have to change the stimulus. I mean, it's kind of basic, causality right there. So in a horror game, if you have to think about what your own goals as a GM is, how scary do you want to make it? I know your group isn't as hardcore as yours. So if you're doing a horror game for your group, Tom or Aaron and David and Jake or whatever, yeah, I know. Well, how would you do it?
Well, actually, Okay, I ran one game on Halloween, and I can clearly tell most of them were never played in an actual horror game. And actually, I had them all. It was all members of a. They were a mafia crew.
Yeah.
So everyone had a gun.
Yeah.
And I did that mainly so they would at least we're all armed, because they don't like to play normal people. They kind of like to play the badasses.
Right.
So that way I just kind of threw them off, because you're members of a mafia crew. He's got you've got guns. But then they were going to recover a package of drugs in this really weird Louisiana town.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be kind of a Innsmouth situation. And they turned on. I was just throwing basic tropes of horror at them, and they had never experienced it before in a game. And also, it helped that one of the players I made pre-gens. One of them was an undercover FBI agent,
right?
And Aaron got the one that was the undercover FBI agent. And so he started the whole group getting off in a tizzy just by. It was time for him to check in with his handler. So he said, I'm going to go outside and make a phone call. No one follow me. So at that point, they all suspected him. So the group, immediately group cohesion just faded.
Right.
And when I started throwing, I started small. It was the town, the town sheriff, just saying, slightly weird, a little weird looking, But of course, these were player characters, and we have guns.
Right.
So they bring the whole town down upon them.
They just shot the sheriff?
No, but they're it's like fuck you, lawman, that kind of thing.
Right. So they were being aggressive because they thought they could get away with it.
And suddenly the sheriff never did light a finger. Just said a lot of people just disappear in these parts. It's crazy. And then the townsfolk that were much further along started showing up.
I gotcha. And
that they chased them out of town because they didn't seem to care that they had guns.
Right.
And finally, they were all lost. I mean, they finally fled the town, but these were like New Jersey mafia guys who had never even seen the forest, much less a swamp. So this swamp in itself was part of it because there was just natural horror problems, boats they weren't familiar operating. One survived. And monsters didn't kill any of them. The swamp did, or they killed each other. Nice.
How did Aaron die?
They very quickly figured out he was an undercover FBI agent.
Aww. And
it was actually Andy, my friend who moved to Seattle, was playing the one that survived. And so a townsfolk that it was alligators instead of fish was my model for these monsters.
Right.
One who had fully changed. Basically, Andy just shot Aaron in the knee.
Yeah.
And left him to this thing to devour while he got away.
Was he the one who made it?
Andy was the only one who made it. But of course I had a.
You meant this as a one shot though. This wasn't going to be a campaign.
But it was like the one time of running horror for a brand new group.
Right.
And but I thought I might do this as I might do this as a few more sessions.
Yeah.
But that never came to pass.
Well, I mean, the thing is, and I could see how that your group is obviously, they know what they want, and the horror isn't part of that because again, they death spiral and all that other stuff. But for example, horror, as we mentioned, horror doesn't have to be that high fatality kind of grisly sort of thing. For example, Ghostbusters is technically horror, so if
they've thrown in a lot of humor.
Right. If you wanted to do a Ghostbusters Incorporated campaign, how would you pitch that to them, and how would you get them interested in that? So, as a thought exercise.
Yeah, actually, there was a multi-part thing I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
That I'm going to try to convince them to do this Halloween or soon is actually doing like the ghost hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, they're members of a group like that.
Yeah.
And actually, and the game is actually having them encounter a place that really is
right.
It does have something hidden in it that's bad, but of course, they're so used to just trying to do like oh, what was that?
Right.
To over exaggerate things. So then shit really starts happening.
Right.
So
That'll be interesting. Yeah, I'd like to find out how that works out whenever you play that, run that. Sorry for them, because again, that sounds like it would be a good way to figure out like how would you set the logistics up for that? How would you get them involved in that, and how fatal is that going to be for the player characters?
If I was gonna, the way I'd set it up logistically, how to bring in other players if they die is. Now I was kind of thinking, just they were other members of the group saying that, we're really on something here. I think we're gonna need some extra tech or some camera guys.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing though. It doesn't. The Ghost Hunter things, even if it is a real haunted house, doesn't sound. It's not gonna be like they're gonna be throwing butcher knives into people's skulls or stuff like that. It's gonna be more. Well, you tell me.
Okay. I kind of based it. I based a little of it off of. You remember the movie Rose Matter?
Rose Matter.
Yeah, well, it's a Stephen King story.
Okay,
but it's a haunted house that it's this huge house that was built kind of weird.
What's it called? Rose? I thought
it was Rose Matter.
Okay,
as an Madder.
Matter. I think.
It's the guy, men who go into the house tend to end up just dead. They suddenly fall off a balcony or.
Right.
It's something that always looks like an accident.
Yeah.
And women they wander into a room and then just disappear.
Right.
And it's easy to get lost. And if you get lost by yourself, no one ever finds you.
Right.
It's going to be kind of along the lines of that.
I gotcha.
And I'm kind of thinking, I don't know, I'm actually kind of thinking of making it an old hospital or something like that.
Okay. But
it's one of those places that it's not that you end up grisly dead. It's if they don't figure out that unless you're in pairs, if you just wander off by yourself, you're going to vanish.
Okay, so that's going to be very fatal, very very high probability that'll happen. So
and also there is something and I'm also going to I also based a little of it off of the remake of House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah.
Which is there is something really horrible locked away that if you open.
Right.
Unless you can get out of the house, you're gone.
Right.
So stuff along those lines.
Okay. Well, it'll be interesting. So are you actually going to run those?
Yes. And also I'm going to use my Zoom H2 to record them.
Well, we look forward to hearing from that, Tom. So yeah, hopefully this will give you guys some ideas on how to run your horror campaigns. If you have experience running horror campaigns, if you want some more advice, feedback is appreciated. Give us your comments on here on the website or on the forums or on the Facebook group. We have a Facebook group and we talk and stuff like that. It's pretty killer. I'm on Twitter too. We're on Steam. Jeez, where are we not?
Our presence is everywhere.
We don't have Telegraph and we don't have a ham radio. So
actually, my grandparents have a ham radio. We can use that.
But you're not manning it, Tom. You don't
yet.
Oh, okay. I see. We don't have a semaphore station set up.
We need our own number station.
We do need a number station. It's just us, someone rolling to D20 over again.
So instead of
7,
there's
18.
It's reading numbers, but between each one, there's the sound of a rolling dice.
Exactly. Yeah, 13. Oh my God, guys, you got to take a look at this. I keep rolling 13s, worst number station ever. Okay, so.
And occasionally the sound of 11.
Yeah. Cheetos, yeah. Cheetos and Mountain Dew.
Occasionally, I gotta go pee, guys.
Yeah. Tom does not have a letter or a list or anything of that nature.
Hey, I have a good reason for that.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
So. I've been trying to teach my 85-year-old grandmother how to use a computer and the internet.
And she's not on Twitter yet, so you have failed.
No, she's not on Twitter yet, Ross. Also, she's deaf.
I know. Well, Twitter, you don't have to be here to be on Twitter.
Yeah, I have to.
It's 140 characters or less.
I have to explain it to her how it works, Ross.
You can write things.
Yes, I can write things, Ross.
I know. Anyways. We didn't mention one last bit before we go back to our shout-outs and anecdote. Tom will be writing things for the Killsplosion.
Yes, I will.
He'll be writing short stories for it to introduce each chapter. So if you want to get some Tom Church brand fiction of action and explosions and violence.
With my vast mental vault of useless action movies.
Amounts of encyclopedic knowledge of action movies. You should sign up now. So yeah. Anyways, when we come back, we will have $2.99 for PDF, full color PDF, or Kindle, which is also in color. Of course, you don't have a color Kindle.
Yeah, $2.99. You can't even get 2 20-ounce bottles of soda for that little.
$2.99 delivered to you instantly via the magic of the internet. So,
you will not only be getting a good product, you will be using the internet.
I know. I mean,
you'll be with the 21st century.
It's $2.99. I'm just shocked that,
Seriously, I came in on Ross today. He was just rocking back and forth in his chair, trying to figure out how people.
Zombie. I mean, there are millions of zombies in the world. Why haven't they all bought it yet? Anyways,
have any zombies bought your book, Ross?
I hope so.
It would be great if someone actually told you, like, I liked your book, and I am a zombie.
I'd be like, thank you, sir. That means a lot because you are the source material, and that means I was true to your story.
I must think that if there are zombies out there, they must really love this resurgence of fame and popularity they have.
Yeah, I hope so.
Perhaps they can come out of the closet then.
Yeah, the grave.
Oh, the grave.
Yeah. Anyways, first shout out. I am going. Speaking of zombies, ZNA, another Kindle ebook, 99 cents. Zombie survival horror, pretty standard. The guy has gotten out of the city. Continuation of the first ZNA. Origin, and follows the same character as he meets up with other survivors, and of course, things are not as they seem, and there's danger and zombies.
He doesn't automatically get submarine batteries and shit to start.
No. Although he did have a stockpile of guns and ammo, but he set them on fire to escape.
And he wasn't a fighter pilot.
No, he wasn't a fighter pilot. He was a delivery man.
And the government.
You should read ZNA, Tom. The guy was a delivery man. He delivered things in a truck.
Wow. Well, I delivered something in a shitty HHR, but
right.
He's better than me.
I know.
And the government doesn't destroy its own infrastructure in the process.
Oh my god, that novel!
I'm sorry, I
don't remember what it's called, but it was really bad. It was a really
day by day apocalypse.
Why you remember that?
Well, you gave it to me.
Oh, did I give it to you?
Yeah,
get this away from me.
No, actually, I think it was more not so much. Hey, Tom, I'd like you to read this and check it out. It's more like, would you like to get this out of my possession, please?
Yeah, we're not recommending that because that was a piece of shit novel. Anyway, well, it wasn't a piece of shit. It was just
dull,
mediocre. ZNA is 99 cents. Is better than that, and it's a quicker read. 20,000 words or so. So yeah, ZNA Journey. Tom, you had one?
Yep. Actually, I have 3 movies, but they're all going to be on the same one because they're all related.
Yeah.
I recently I purchased the new director's cut of The Thing, the special edition of that. I bought John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness and In the Mouth of Madness, which is basically his Apocalypse trilogy.
Right.
And all 3 are really good movies. Well, The Thing, if you don't like The Thing, there's something very wrong with you.
Yeah, you can't really call yourself a horror fan
if you don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? What's wrong with you?
Prince of Darkness is you showed me this one the first time.
Yeah,
and it's a weird John Carpenter movie, but it's really good.
DJ Shadow samples it in introducing.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, In the Mouth.
What more do you need to know?
And In the Mouth of Madness is some really great Lovecraft stuff.
Oh yeah, Sam Neill.
In fact, he uses the names of some of Lovecraft's characters in it.
He does.
Like it's Mrs. Pickman runs the hotel.
To be fair, I use Lovecraftian names too in Zombies of the World.
Yes,
I reference Pickman, Dr. Herbert West, Reanimator, and Miskatonic University. So
you gotta love it.
$2.99.
But I mean, all 3 of those movies together. I mean, those are 3 really. Those are like John Carpenter at his best.
You get no argument for me. And speaking of Lovecraftian, the song "Fantasy" by Dye, a French DJ, music producer. This is an electro song. That's the subgenre within electronica for all you elitist music nerds. The music video, I'm going to link to the YouTube music video. It's on iTunes.
It needs to be seen.
The song itself is on iTunes. And the music video itself is epic. And that's all I want to say. Yeah, and I think I gave it away by linking it to Lovecraftian stuff. But it's certain when you start watching it, you're gonna be like, "The fuck are you talking about? This is totally not Lovecraftian at all." This is
my god, there it is. Oh my god, something happened.
Something happens. It traumatized Aaron. So
yeah, and I loved it. So that should also tell you stuff.
Yeah, you had another one. Wait, Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, Patton Oswalt, my favorite guy, has a new CD out. It's called Finest Hour.
Yeah.
It's brand new stuff, just came out recently. And, well, if you don't like Patton Oswalt as a comedian, you can't call yourself a comedy fan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're a son of a bitch.
Yeah, you are a son of a bitch, and you are dead to me. But if you like it, I'm with you forever.
Yeah.
Bros forever. But yeah, it's great comedy, and he's got some stuff in there that you would like, Ross. He mentions things you like.
I know he's done it before in Zombie Spaceship Wasteland. What was it, D&D or zombies or what topic? What tag?
But no, you can't. You're gonna have to listen to it.
Yes. Yeah, that's gonna happen. That takes time, Tom.
There'll be road trips, Ross.
Yeah, that's true. Next up, I want to mention The Hunger Games. I know I've already mentioned this, but I finished the trilogy because I would have finished it earlier, but I'm reading like 3 different books at once, and I'm horribly distracted and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I finished them, and they're a good read, and we are definitely going to do a one-shot of The Hunger Games using the Nemesis one-roll engine set, rule set, and I mean, yeah, it's like almost too good to be considered YA. I mean, it's young adults or whatever. The movie, I'm looking forward to seeing the movie because that will be good. And the characters are well realized, and I like Katniss, the main character, because she was oblivious of people's basic motives. She was a total player character because she put all her skill points into stealth and archery, and not a single fucking point into sense motive because she is so bad at reading other people's motives.
That sounds delightful.
It was hilarious. So yeah,
nice. I got one more.
Yeah.
This one's I've mentioned the Nostalgia Critic before.
Yeah.
But this is a specific one he did because it really kind of plays into what we're doing. He was going to do it's his review of The Haunting. Now I think he meant to do it as a old versus new of the old Haunting versus the new Haunting.
Yeah.
But he admitted it's no contest. The old one wins in everything.
Sure.
And it kind of goes with what we're talking about because it shows like the less is this is a perfect example of why the less is more thing works. Because as he says in the original Haunting, it's subtle and it's you never actually see what's scaring her, and you never know if it's a real ghost or if it's in her own head. And really, a really effective ghost story. The Haunting is just if I know you've seen it back in the 90s, just over the top CGI, and it's that kind of way over the top shit's just not scary.
Yeah.
Not to mention the acting is just god awful.
Tom Church, critic of actors.
Yeah, let me say no. This was so bad that even I realized, wow, this is bad. Even a bisexual Catherine Zeta-Jones could not save that movie, as he says in this review.
Wow. Nice.
But no, give that particular Nostalgia Critic a listen to and a watch. It's really good for Halloween.
Yeah. Honestly, old horror movies are a gold mine of really scary shit. You think, oh, black and white, oh, it's boring, it's slow, I'm ADD, I can't focus on more than one thing for a minute at a time because I'm a special snowflake, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, sorry, I'm just making fun of the straw man listener, whoever that jerk is. Anyway, what I want to mention is, one of the scariest movies I've ever seen in my life was the original Night of the Living Dead. Because I was a kid, and that was the first movie I saw with like a fucking utterly depressing, soul-crushing, nihilistic ending.
Every single person dead.
Every single character in the movie fucking dies, and like they just. But he survived the night, and it's just such a primitive movie.
Or like when the woman just sees her brother in with the horde of zombies.
Well, yeah, I mean,
or the little girl.
Well, yeah, but like, no, it's the whole aesthetic too. Just like it's shot in this black and white, and I just saw a bad VHS copy of it, and that made it look even worse, which was better because it's just like you're watching like, a hidden camera footage of these people. You're not even watching a movie. You're watching something that actually happened. Mm-hmm. That's what it seemed like to me. You're watching like a surveillance camera or something, and it just blew my mind. And that was really scary. And I know I've mentioned this before on the show, but Night of the Hunter, oh my fucking god, is that a creepy ass movie?
Yeah.
Have you watched it by now or not?
Yeah, I've watched it by now.
Okay. And there's the original Nosferatu.
Oh shit.
Yeah, goddamn.
FW Murnau, fuck you.
Yeah.
Seriously, man. Fuck that shit.
So there, and this is just the tip of the iceberg for scary fucking movies that were made in
Psycho.
Yeah, Psycho. I mean, we go on all day on that. I just wanted to say, don't dismiss a movie because it's black and white and old. Shit can get so scary you don't even know. Like, so much scarier than today's shit. So that's just the more you know.
Mm-hmm. So, and if I may, if you'll allow me to go off on a rant,
okay.
This involves the remake of The Thing, or the prequel.
Well, you haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I have. I watched it on my own.
I thought you said you didn't. Oh, okay.
I didn't watch it a couple of days ago when you last asked me.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to say first of all, it could never be as good as the original.
Well, yeah.
But the reason I see it is they use CG in the new one, and CG's gotten better over time. But with The Thing, what I noticed, I mean, they're essentially basically the same movie.
Yeah.
But the difference is when you're dealing with practical effects in the original Thing, you have to set up the shot for maximum effect. So it takes real skill to set up a successful shot in the first one because you have to take the monster into account, which is actually there, and your actors. And in this one, in the new one with CGI, they don't have to do shit. It's once again having actors probably reacting to a tennis ball. And it's not the same. And what's worse is a monster movie. It's very hard to make a monster movie fail, at least be entertaining. Mm-hmm. This one was just dull.
Interesting.
It's just dull.
I still want to see it because I'm dying.
I want to see it with you now.
Yeah. I actually had an idea for doing a campaign in GURPS based on The Thing. And here's my idea.
Okay.
My idea is that a flawed sample of The Thing made it back and put it in a remote area, an island somewhere. I hadn't decided where. And so they could somewhat contain it. But what had happened was the fire or whatever the sample was corroded, was damaged. So they cloned the thing, but it wasn't a perfect copy of it. The thing. Mm-hmm. And what happened was the scientists who make it, the people who make it, cloned 3 strains of the thing, like a black, a red, and a yellow. That's how I do it. And like one strain, I think the red strain was like a singular organism, be like an ultimate alien hunter killer kind of thing, mm-hmm. intelligent but just a killer. But the thing is, it couldn't copy itself. Its reproduction, in fact, it couldn't reproduce it didn't know how it reproduced, and it didn't want to reproduce because it was just a selfish hunter killer. So at least at the beginning of the campaign, the next one would be one that could copy itself but was relatively weak. The other one was like telepathic. I mean, the basic idea is that there would be different like versions of the thing with different like parts of its power mm-hmm. set, but not the full thing. And they were all fighting each other, and the players were all mixed in between them. So there's like, there were people that could copy, like the black strain could copy people perfectly, but it couldn't do the other crazy shit. And the other one was just crazy shit, So like there's the doppelganger type, and then the Shoggoth type, and then mm-hmm. the hunter killer type. And they all hated each other. They all wanted to kill each other. And so the players were caught up in between those 3 versions of the thing.
Right.
So the Shoggoths and the doppelgangers were copying and making mass numbers of each other. And the hunter killer was picking both of them off. And then the players were like, part of the rapidly dwindling human population on the island trying to...
Yeah. They
couldn't escape. They had to find some way of stopping these things. And they could even negotiate with them, but can you trust them? So that was my idea for doing a Thing campaign, but I never, of course, got around to doing it. So because I'm a horrible monster. Mm-hmm. So finally, so that was my little tangent on The Thing. So,
and we both had tangents.
We both did. I hope you guys like that. Finally, The Dedicated. Now, what is The Dedicated? The Dedicated is a group of servers for various first-person shooters. I have been playing on one of their servers for the game Killing Floor. And I know I mentioned Killing Floor on this podcast before, but in fact I did when I resurrected Raillery, that my first episode was recorded on The Dedicated. Mm-hmm. And they've changed the modded things. The thing is, I've gotten to like modded Killing Floor servers a lot, particularly The Dedicated, because they've raise the perks from maximum level. You start at level 6 now, and you go all the way to 20, and you gain additional bonuses. They've added a lot of new weapons, and they have a 35 player maximum on here, and so the monsters, they'll be like 800 per round, and so it becomes this. Either you're like you have nothing to do because like other people are killing all the monsters as soon as they appear, or you're like up to your knees like oh god, kill them all, kill them all, and it's like you're being in you're in an army versus a larger horde of monsters, and it's great fun because what I've done is I play the demo guy, and the demo guy, his main weapon is a rocket launcher, and they have the modded one called the what the fuck rocket launcher because there's a 5% chance your rocket will turn into a nuclear explosion.
Okay.
So and then if you shoot the rocket and it doesn't explode immediately, you're like, oh, I need to get undercover or I'll be killed by my own explosion. And then 5 seconds later, it wipes out everything in the vicinity. You just hope you hit it in the right area so it'll actually hit the monsters. And it uses the what the fuck boom sound. What the beep 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 boosh,
Nice.
And what I find is my rocket launcher only have 30 shots on it, so I use the 30 up, because there's 800 monsters, and eventually I'll run out. And then I'll drop the rocket launcher, and then I'll look around for anyone who's died and use their weapon. Be like, oh hey, here's a flamethrower. Oh, here's a machine gun. I'll use this because I don't give a fuck. Because the thing is, I want to die at the end of I want to make sure we survive the round, but then I want to die because when you die, you come back with your $3,000 you can use to get a new rocket launcher, new rockets. Otherwise, you're not going to get enough money to keep going. So I always want to die, but I want to take as many monsters with me. And so once I use up all the rockets, I'm like, I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm going to go out and kill monsters. I'm going to go, oh, there's a giant flesh pound. I'll just throw 10 grenades at my feet and blow up and take him with me.
Nice.
Because I'm an asshole. Doot. So it's fun for me as sort of a exercise in creativity. What can I do to help the team out? And, because I have no fear I don't care if I live or die. So
you don't give a fuck?
I don't give a fuck anymore. So that's fun. And it's also kind of zen to just stand there in a little perch and oh, there's 10 monsters here. I will aim the rocket right there and hit all of them. So that's fun.
And they die.
Yeah, it's nice. So if you're a Killing Floor player, I'll put a link up to the Steam group. And you can check it out if you so choose. 35 player maximum.
Delightful.
Yeah. And for the anecdote, I just want to talk about D&D because I have
Why would you do that?
I know, it's only we've been playing a lot of it. Well, not lately. Well, actually, I have. Dan, who is a warlock in the New World campaign, is back in town, and he has been running a 4th Ed Dungeons and Dragons campaign. Now, I jumped in the middle of the campaign, and it's been going on for a while, so I'm not recording it, but it's also for me, it's just kind of for relax. We're just going to do it. And honestly, we have so many episodes anyway. We're never going to get to posting a lot of the ones we already have recorded.
Unless the bombs fall.
Right, exactly. But
next Tuesday.
It's interesting because the differences in style between Dan's campaign and the players there in his group versus the RPPR group. Some of the players are John and Katie. You will know them from the D&D, the best game ever.
You will.
Yeah, and they've also been in the Santa Claus one-shot of Rain. It was on the RPPR main site and a few other things. And 2 of their friends that haven't been on any RPPR.
Well, they're missing out.
Yeah, exactly. But everyone in there is into 4th Ed and basically very much into the rules and understanding the system as opposed to the so when we fight
as opposed to the what?
As opposed to the RPPR group.
Yeah, you were going to try to shorten that sentence, weren't you?
Yeah, I know. I was trying to
No, you're not getting away with that.
Yeah. Just to show you an example, I'm a monk, Katie's a warlord, and John's a fighter, and then there's also a wizard and a rogue. And I'll use one of my abilities, skip your action this round, but next round your next hit will, if it hits, will be a critical hit. And then the rogue is paying attention on my turn, and he's like, oh, okay, well I'll use my ability on my turn to let you do sneak attack damage on your next hit, and that means that'll be maximized since you're doing a critical hit. And then the warlord's paying attention, so she'll give me a bonus to hit to make sure I hit.
Teamwork. Oh, God.
So when I hit,
No.
I mean, we're like level 15. Like, I'll hit and I'll do like 70 damage with one punch. And I'm like, haha, take that. And you're prone.
Ross.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I know. It's amazing.
Players don't work together.
They're paying attention to the fighters, paying attention to marking and attacks of opportunity. The warlord is using a brash assault in order to provoke attacks of opportunity, so the fighter can then use it.
I ought to slap you.
We can get through 2 fights in a single session because we just mow through the enemies down, and we're just.
You're making a game called Killsplosion, Ross.
It's a finely.
You are a hypocrite.
Engine of destruction, and it is just a world of difference. Now, to be fair,
you leaving us for them?
No, because there are differences too. For example, we don't negotiate with the monsters. We don't always set up deals with them, morally dubious deals.
Well, what's the point?
We don't spend more time trying to betray each other. We're actually...
I'm out. Seriously. I'm not even in the game. I'm out.
We're unambiguously good. We're trying to save the world from a great evil. It's based on Against the Giants, the 4th ed version of that. So, and yeah, but it's just amazing to see actually like people paying attention to things like flanking and tactics and group synergy between different classes. And oh, don't forget, +2 initiative bonus from my warlord bonus. Oh, you have a bonus from this. Oh, okay, I'll do this. And so it makes me.
I hope you're proud of yourself, Ross. I really do.
It's just
you've changed, Hollywood.
I've changed Hollywood. I just wanted to see the difference, so that when a lot of people were talking about fourth is it takes forever. I'm like, no, well, if everyone pays attention, even on
exactly. We have to pay attention, and damn it, who has time for that?
You're there at the game. What else are you going to do? Oh, I know. You'll be texting your little fan fiction buddies or whatever. I don't know. Yeah.
You are treading on sacred ground, my friend. Do not force me to... Yeah, I wouldn't do it. Fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to bring that up to say to all you 4th ed naysayers is if you actually give the game a chance with people who like tactical combat and like, teamwork and synergy. Tom is giving me such a face right here. It's just
that sounds like homework.
I know. See, that's what's like, God damn it. I was like, are we going to have to paint the fucking barn next, Slough the pigs,
Games shouldn't be work.
It's not work if you like it, if you're interested.
Well, then you are, my friend, are fucking
combos.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know. I'm just
consider this a combo breaker, okay?
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
And with that, we will go to our sponsor. Anyways, this has been RPPR, episode 65. And of course, this episode has been, if you want to listen to it, Audible has it. With over 85,000 titles in virtually every genre, you'll find what you're looking for. Get a free audiobook and a 14-day trial by signing up at www.audibleplaying. audiblepodcast.com/roleplaying. So I'm not a spelling champion. I
obviously not.
I'm just kind of slowly like I have to think about it. So
published author. I'm a published author, not a speller.
Yeah, Word has spell check. God damn it. Yeah. We will. This has been RPPR 65. Fear in the long haul. So
we shall catch you.